Hello everyone and welcome on Des Papiers de Rêve channel. I'm Ursula and today I will be painting with you a landscape with a little twist. This landscape I'm painting has a little particularity. It is backlighted, so there is a very strong feeling and impression of the scene, and that's what I want to be able to paint with you today. And if you want to see my reference picture, please check the blog post. I will put the link in the description box just below the video so that you can check this reference picture out. And I'm trying to paint this landscape as if I was describing the picture to someone. So I'm starting with the sky, it's a blue sky, and then I will tell about the way the sun is lighting the grass around this park, and then I will add details and details and details in order for someone to understand my picture. Maybe it's not the logical way to paint, but I like it because it tells a story a little bit more, and it feels a lot more interesting that way. For the sky today I'm using cobalt blue. I could have used ultramarine blue or Indian twain blue, but these two blues are a little bit off. The Mediterranean blue sky is very particular, and I think the cobalt blue is suited better the scene than the other two blue. But for all the greens in my painting, I'm using Indian twain blue because I like the mix I can get with Aussie Red Gold and Nickel Azo Yellow. It makes greens that are a little bit more natural because Indian twain blue is a little bit duller than cobalt blue or ultramarine blue. I like my picture right now because it's totally ununderstandable at all for someone who hasn't seen the reference picture. It's just some line, some really strong brush marks, but it doesn't represent anything right now. But with a little bit more details, you will see the landscape emerge from the painting, and that's quite fun to work like that. Right now it lacks a really strong element to the painting, the two trees that are creating the shadow and that are backlighted by the sun. So it's quite weird, but I like this painting right now. Like in my painting from last week with the palm tree, I'm adding a little bit of lavender in some area that are in the shadow because I like the cold effect that lavender gets to the painting, and I think it's quite interesting just in some shadow area to get this cold effect with lavender. Today I'm working with a big flat synthetic brush. I like to paint a landscape with that kind of brush because it's a very soft brush and it contains a lot of water, but it also rinses really easily, so it's quite nice to make strong mark and get lots of color in the paper right away. And now I'm adding my two trees that are the center of interest in this painting, and I waited a little bit before painting them so that the water will not flow as much as before, and I can control a little bit more where the colors are gonna go. And I will let this layer dry, and I will talk you through about my supplies. For the brushes, I'm using an Escoda Ultimo 1 inch and a little Escoda Ultimo number 8 with a long bristle. For the colors, I'm using cobalt blue, Indian twain blue, Aussie Red Gold, Rose Madder Lake, lavender, and Nickel Azo Yellow. And my paper is Canson Heritage in rough. Now that my first layer has dried, my goal for the second part of my painting is to add some details, of course, but also some more contrast into it so that the backlight effect appears more predominant, because for now it's a little bit dull. But by adding a lot of darkness in the tree, in the shadows, in the foliage, it will add a lot of contrast to my painting and make it make the background and the grass behind the tree much more lighter, and I will get this effect of backlight this way. And for all this work, I'm changing my brush from the flat brush. I'm going towards a really long bristle brush in the same range as my flat brush, still synthetic, but the bristles are much longer, which is nice for drawing lines, for example, and have less control on what my brush is doing, so that I can create a nice foliage effect with this brush, and I get a lot of random marks that will give me texture to this second part of my painting. I'm not using synthetic brush as much because I really prefer real herb brushes, but this range of brushes from Escoda is really nice because they hold a lot of water, they are very soft, and they work very well with my style of painting. I do not just have the reflex to take them for painting with me. I just tend to use the other brush I have in real hair. But there is one drawback with this liner brush. It's that the tip of the brush is not really pointed. It's a little bit more round, so that it's a little bit hard to make really fine line. And if you want to make this picture, you can use the brush I'm using a little bit more often, a dagger shape brush. It will make a fine line a lot easier, and it will make also really random marks on the paper, so it's also a nice brush to use for this type of painting. In the supply list, I've mentioned that I'm using some Rose Madder Lake as a color, but you can see there is no pink at all in my painting. So I'm using this color in order to get a lot dark in the trees and in the trunks of my trees. It helps me to get darker color, in fact. For the darker color, I'm using a mix of Indent Rain Blue and Aussie Red Gold, which gets me a green. But if I add a little bit of a red tone to a green, I will make neutral colors. So that's why I'm using Rose Madder Lake here, in order to darken the green and make it a little bit more neutral, a little bit more cooler, so that it's the perfect color for shadows. This painting was really fun to make because I was able to be really free in my mark making. I was able to get some very energetic mark at the beginning with my big flat brush, and with strong color as well, as the cobalt blue and the nickel azure yellow in the grass behind the trees. And I think that with all the little details, the contrast, the strong colors and more neutral colors, you are able to see the feeling I was feeling when I see the scene in real life. The atmosphere is here, the feelings are here, and I'm very happy with the result. And I think you can see how backlighted the trees were in real life. I'm adding the last little bits of details, the last darker colors in this painting, and this video is now ending. Thanks for watching, and I hope you like it. And please check the blog post for more information about the painting, some zoom and photograph of the painting, and also to see my reference picture. And tell me what you think in the comments. See you soon.